Committee will come to order. We do have a quorum and we're ready for business. The first order of business today is to instruct the gentlemen members of this committee that some of you are out of uniform. And you will be expected to do better next Friday. Close.
A former candidate for the statewide office.
All right. No. This committee needs a little comic relief. If nothing else this year. Committee, without objection, we're going to do these in reverse order today for a very obvious reason that will come up. So if there's no objection, we'll have under consideration RS 23878. Representative Boyle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. Hopefully you all have a copy of the RS, and you also have this handout. I think it's about 4 or 5 pages, and that goes over the whole RS. So there are 3 changes in this bill, this RS, compared to the other House bill that you had reviewed. On page 1, line 30, page 2, line 35 and 36, the public officials and elected officials are back in as exemptions. The second change, page 3, line 46, it adds at the end of that, or any equivalent course. And the third change is page 8, line 3 through 5. And that wording is to make absolutely certain there is the protection for private property rights. Whether it is a private home, a business, if you're a leasee or an owner, it's just to put in concrete that you have private property rights that are not trumped. So those are the 3 changes from the original bill.
Representative Boyle, I believe those were the changes that the committee was struggling with, as we heard this previously.
That is correct, Mr. Chairman. So we listened, and that's what we added and changed.
Are there further questions? Representative Wintrow.
Mr. Chair, Representative Boyle, thank you for outlining that. Could you, a couple of questions. Could you explain that last, is it an addition on page 8, line 3, the nothing in subsection? Is that brand new? And could you explain what that really means?
Representative Boyle.
Mr. Chairman, Representative, yes, that is a little bit of a change. It's just to clarify even more than what was in the other bill. And we put it there as a new section so that it was a standalone and people would pay attention to it.
Mr. Chair.
Representative Wintrow.
Representative Boyle, I am so sorry I'm not understanding. When you say to clarify even more, are you talking about where it says in code that you don't need a permit on private property, or I'm sorry, I'm just not understanding what the additional, making that even more clear.
Representative Boyle.
Mr. Chairman, Representative, if you would go back to subsection 3 and 4, and I think that's on page 2.
Okay.
Let's see. Page 2. So lines 17 through 32. So this allows a business owner, a homeowner, or a leasee to give their permission for someone to carry, conceal without a permit on their property, or if someone is open carrying, to say, I don't want you here, you'll have to leave my business or my home.
Representative Crosty.
Sorry.
Are there further questions?
Mr. Chair,
Representative Wintrow?
I have a couple more questions, if that's okay. Okay, thank you. Mr. Chair, Representative Boyle, so why put the public officials back in there? I was not concerned about that.
Representative Boyle.
Mr. Chairman, Representative, we heard from the public and from the majority of the committee that they were concerned about that. So that's why they're back in there.
Representative Wintrow?
Mr. Chair, Representative Boyle, can you explain that? I guess I'm just not understanding what people's concerns with that, because I thought, well, if everybody has to have a permit, if the general public has to have a permit to carry a concealed weapon, I'm just not sure why we exempt public officials. I'm just not understanding that.
Representative Boyle?
Mr. Chairman, Representative, I guess I can give you a history lesson on why that was in there. A few decades ago, there was a state senator who was in a little bit of a tiff with his sheriff, and the state senator voted opposite of what his sheriff wanted. And back then, the code said that the sheriff may issue, not shall issue. And so the sheriff revoked his concealed license permit, the senator's, and he felt that was incorrect and intimidation. So that's why he put it into the code, and it's been there ever since.
Representative Wintrow?
Mr. Chair, Representative Boyle, so initially you had that in there. Why do you think it's important initially to have that in there, and why did you concede?
Representative Boyle?
Mr. Chairman, Representative, actually, that wasn't my wishes to take the elected and public officials out. Last year, and I realize that you weren't here last year, but last year the House passed a bill to take them out, and the Senate killed the bill because they were taken out. So, I don't know what else to say.
Okay.
Any questions?
Thank you.
No further questions. A little bit out of character, but is there anyone that would like to testify about this RS? Hearing none, the RS is before the committee.
Mr. Chairman.
Representative Crane.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we introduce RS and send to the second reading calendar RS 23878. If I might speak to that motion.
Representative Crane.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and members of the committee. I want to thank Representative Boyle. I did have some concerns with this legislation last week and actually made the motion to hold it in committee because some of the concerns that myself and other members of the committee had with it. Representative Boyle, Representative Youngblood met with us and alleviated those concerns, and she's done an excellent job outlining the differences between the two pieces of legislation and some of the concerns that we had and how she addressed those.
Further discussion on the motion, Representative Crosty.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to offer a substitute motion, if I may, to introduce RS 23878, period. And then I'd like to speak to that, if I may.
Gentleman has the floor.
When we had the hearing on the House bill that we're going to talk about next, there were a number of people who were not able to testify because of the crowded calendar that we had that morning, and that were not able to come back that afternoon. They were not offered that opportunity they were offered, but they were not able to accommodate our schedule. I think it would be fair that the people's voice get heard, not just from the people in the committee, but also from the public.
Further discussion on the substitute motion. Hearing none.
Oh.
Representative Wintrow.
Mr. Chair, I would support the substitute motion for what Representative McCroskey said. I feel like this is a pretty significant piece of legislation that would remove concealed permits from most of the state, 99% of the state, and it would be better to allow, and fair to allow the people who weren't able to testify to do so. I have serious concerns still with the safety issues. I don't think it's a very cumbersome process, but I would like to hear more testimony on that side of it, and even invite maybe state police or sheriff or some other folks to talk about the safety concerns that they might have as well. And I'm happy to stay another week.
You're speaking solely for yourself. Representative Babb.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'll be supporting the original motion. You know, I think our chairman has gone above and beyond this entire session, making sure that we accommodate the public and making sure that they're able to be able to testify. We went back on in the afternoon. We were able to hear additional testimony that afternoon. It was asked if there was anyone else that wanted to testify. It's always available that if folks email comments in to the secretary, that she does place that in the official record. So that was made available to those folks as well that were here, and so I do believe that was vetted, and frankly I believe that Representative Boyle brought forth and was able to address the concerns that were brought up at that hearing, and I applaud her for taking a step back, even though it may have cost time in doing that in the process, and being able to address the concerns that the public voiced.
Further discussion on the motion? Representative Wintrow.
Mr. Chair, I respect and appreciate that Representative Boyle consulted with many people in the committee. However, my concerns have not been addressed at all. And my concerns are about public safety and the matter of the fact that right now concealed carry permit is not a cumbersome, overcharged issue. It's one more small way to to look for people that probably should not be hiding guns. And to now open that up to the entire state I mean, typically what happens is people see an RS and then they start to organize and they come for a hearing. So I do respect the fact that our chair has tried very hard and done that, but this is a new RS, and I'm guessing that people might have something to say about public officials being put back in there. And I think that's why a hearing would be beneficial.
Further discussion on the motion?
Mr. Chairman.
Representative Crosty.
I would just like to point out that the particular afternoon that we came back to receive further testimony, there were at least 6 people that I counted that particular day that were not able to testify. I certainly appreciate, yes, they could have offered their written testimony. At this point, I haven't heard from them, and I don't believe that their voices were heard.
Further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, the motion is to introduce RS 23878. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
No, that's substitute motion we're doing now is just to introduce. Sorry, clarify that one more time. The substitute motion is just to introduce RS 23878. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed no?
No.
The noes have it. The original motion is to introduce RS 23878 and send to the second reading calendar. Is there further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, the motion is to introduce RS 23878 and send to the second reading calendar. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed no?
No.
The ayes have it, and it will be done. Representative Boyle, you'll be carrying that on the floor. Anyone want to be recorded as voting no? Representative Wintrow, Representative McCrosty, Representative Smith, Representative Jordan.
Mr. Chairman.
Representative Pat?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that we hold House Bill 243 in committee.
You've heard the motion. Is there discussion? Hearing none, the motion is to hold House Bill 243 in committee. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no?
No.
The ayes have it. And it will be held in committee. Would you like to be recorded as voting no? No volunteers. Committee, that concludes our business for today. We do have another important piece of legislation that will be coming before us on Monday. But you can sleep an extra half an hour. We will begin at 9:30 a.m. on Monday morning. Unless they want to take up on the House floor at 8 o'clock.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to welcome to the committee today a friend of mine and a member who used to serve on this committee and was quite a force to be reckoned with on this committee. Former Representative Eric Simpson, welcome to the committee.
Welcome, Representative. We had a great discussion this morning in my office prior. Thanks for being here. Thanks to all those who've been here today, and committee, thanks for your hard work this week. And we will. You've got a little bit of time before we take up on the House floor. Isn't that marvelous? So with that, we'll stand adjourned. Welcome back. You're in your element.
I have more hair than that. What are you doing?
You love your tie.